My name is Kat Miller, and we'd like to welcome you to Open Circle. And today's Open Circle mission statement is going to be read by David Shearer. Everybody have a seat. There's seats back in the gazebo, and there looks like there's a couple over here, one here.
Thank you, Kat. Before I read the Open Circle mission statement, there's a great app called Quiet Time that you can install on your phone. You turn it off for any length of time you wish, and following that, it turns itself on automatically.
Oh.
Available in the Android or Apple Store.
Hey man, we don't ask for any commentary. You are just the lead illustrator.
Sorry, it's just trying to be helpful. Just trying to be helpful. Okay, Open Circle mission statement. Open Circle provides a supportive environment to gather for social interaction and to improve our understanding of ourselves, our community, and our world. Presentations span a wide range of intellectual, cultural, physical, and spiritual topics. We do not necessarily agree with the ideas and philosophies of our presenters. However, we encourage you to listen with an open mind and form your own opinions.
Wow, you did that good. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Margaret Van Every. She has a little announcement for us today. Where is she? Ah, here she is. I was going to say, maybe I don't want to introduce her. Oh, never mind. I'll hold them for you while you talk.
Oh. Okay, today we'd like to start off and take a few minutes to honor somebody who's very special to Open Circle. I'm speaking of Hillary Stewartson. For years, of course, she was a regular here, and I'm sure most of you used to see her sitting in the back tables with her friends Beryl and Blue. And then, unfortunately, in April, she had a bad fall and broke her hip and was not able to come until this morning. She's back there, and you may take a moment later to welcome her. Hillary was among the original participants in the forerunner of what later became Open Circle as we know it. Don't ask me how many years, probably 17 or 20. That group met weekly. They were called New Dimensions. And also, Hillary was on the first Open Circle steering committee, which was formed after Spivey left. Jim Spivey had run it by himself for a number of years, but when he left, we formed our first steering committee, and that was 3 years ago, during which time Hillary served as our treasurer and did a very fine job counting the money, depositing the money, but especially, which we'd never had before, keeping very good financial records and reporting, because we believe that we owe it to those who give to Open Circle to know how the money is spent. And Hillary did that. So she also kept a cool head with the steering committee when all about were losing theirs. So for that, we are very grateful, and we would like to present her with these lovely flowers. So she's not going to come up here, but I'm going to take her back there. And she will even speak to you.
She speaks.
Thank you very much for all that. As most of you know, I had an accident April 1st, April Fools, and spent a whole month of April in the hospital until they finally did my surgery. And it's been quite a physiotherapy thing to get to this point now. And I'm pleased to say I'm feeling good, and I don't have any pain, and I never did have any pain, except when we were But yes, I was one of the founding members of Open Circle in 2001, and so was Michael over here, he and his wife, yeah. And so it was really a part of me, and I'm very glad to be back and see you all here, and to thank you for the messages that I received after my accident happened, and for the financial support that has certainly helped with the physiotherapies. So, Seguro Popular Hospital is not one I recommend, but I at least got good surgery. So, good to be here.
It was a pleasure to be able to give to you. We were happy, those of us that did that in this group. Okay, let's see. So if you aren't signed up on our email list and would like to be, you can do so under the tree. There's a sign-up list. You can also go onto our beautiful, fabulous, absolutely incredible, amazing website, opencircleajijic.org. You can also, while you're there, you can go to the DVD page, and it will tell you how to access free some of our previous videos. We're working on it, okay? So you can also go directly, if you have a great memory right in this moment, you can remember youtube.com chapaladrone, and that will take you, and you can look at videos from the last 7 years. They're just being uploaded a video a day. They're going to be free to everybody, so that's a wonderful opportunity. We'd like to welcome those of you here for the first time. If you're here for the first time, if you please stand up, we'd love to acknowledge you. We won't make you do anything crazy or anything. Okay. This is actually a true story. Well, or anything in the net true, we don't know. A true story. A woman was flying from Melbourne to Brisbane. Unexpectedly, the plane was diverted to Sydney along the way. The flight attendant explained that there would be a delay, and if the passengers wanted to get off the aircraft, the plane would reboard in 50 minutes. Everybody got off the plane except for one lady who was blind. The man had noticed the woman as he walked by and could tell the lady was blind because her seeing eye dog lay quietly underneath the seat. He could also tell she had flown this very flight before because the pilot approached her and, calling her by name, said, "Kathy, we're in Sydney for almost an hour. Would you like to get off and stretch your legs?" Kathy replied, "No thanks, but maybe Max would like to stretch his legs." So now picture this. All the people in the gate area come to a complete standstill when they looked up and saw the pilot walk off the plane with a seeing eye dog. The pilot was even wearing sunglasses. People scattered. They not only tried to change planes, but they were trying to change airlines. I overheard this in the plaza, walking through the plaza the other day. "Yeah, I got OCD, old, cranky, and dangerous." Probably the worst thing you can hear when you're wearing a bikini is, "Good for you." If we shouldn't eat late at night, why do they put a light in the fridge? Just one of those things that makes you go, I thought growing old would take longer, didn't you? If anyone tries to tell you that biscuits and gravy is not real meal, stop talking to them. You don't need that kind of negativity in your life. Old age is when the broadness of the mind and the narrowness of the waist change places. Don't you hate it when somebody answers their own questions? I do. How are we doing? More? Oh, okay. The pastor asked if anyone in the congregation would like to express praise for an answered prayer. Susie stood and walked to the podium. She said, "I have some praise 2 months ago, my husband Frank had a terrible bicycle accident, and his scrotum was completely crushed. The pain was excruciating, and the doctors didn't know if they could help him. You could hear a muffled gasp from the men in the congregation as they imagined the pain that poor Frank must have experienced. Frank was unable to hold me or the children, she went on, and every move caused him terrible pain. We prayed as the doctors performed a delicate operation, and it turned out they were able to piece together the crushed remnants of Frank's scrotum and wrap wire around to hold it in place with metal staples. Again, the men in the congregation cringed and squirmed uncomfortably as they imagined the horrible surgery performed on Frank. Now, she announced in a quivering voice, thank the Lord, Frank is out of the hospital, and the doctors say with time his scrotum should recover completely. All the men sighed with unified relief. The pastor rose and tentatively asked if anyone else had something to say. A man stood up and walked slowly to the podium. He said, I'm Frank. The entire congregation held its breath. I just want to tell my wife that the word is sternum. But worth the wait. Are we good? Are we good to go? Words of wisdom today. Don't take guilt trips. Take trips to the mall, even to the next county, to a foreign country, but not to where the guilt is. Next week's presentation, Lunes de Maluri, presented by Diana Gorhan and Roxana Rojas. A journey began at 11:22 p.m., January 23rd, 2011. When there came a startling knock at the door. A woman named Maria said she needed help, and attending a 12-step meeting just didn't suffice. In her eyes were despair, anxiety, and fear. Sometimes projects are born this way, sudden knocks on the door in search of hope in the middle of the night. Now Lunes de Maluri AC is home to more than 80 people in recovery from various addictions and emotional traumas. Diana is assistant administrator, and Roxana is a voluntary facilitator at Lunes de Maluri. They are part of a team of caregivers consisting of a medical doctor, 4 psychologists, and 10 addiction therapists. Some of the staff are also certified in disaster relief due to hurricanes or earthquakes throughout Mexico. So that's our talk next week. That should be really interesting. So I hope you join us then. And today's Century Moment is with David Dennis.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Well, I'm going to my 50th high school reunion next month. Haven't seen some of those people for 50 years, and they're going to remember me, hopefully, as a track star. Set an all-time pole vault record for my high school. And I'll tell you, 50 years later, here in Ajijic, I haven't done one bit of pole vaulting. Things change. So here we are in a different chapter than high school. So our speaker's going to talk about how you look at death and life and pre-birth. So are there any thoughts, beliefs, attitudes that you had in high school that aren't the same today? That was not a joke. So if you've got beliefs, convictions, faith, scientific thoughts, are they serving you or are they holding you back? This meditation will be on your own belief and value system. Which part's working and which isn't. And some of you may believe you can change the ones that don't work and adapt new ones that give you a fuller life as our bodies deteriorate. I'm just speaking for me on that one. Sit in your chairs, allow yourself to sink into your chair. Take a couple of deep breaths and consider your own beliefs and how they are serving you, good or bad, today. Another deep breath, and I'll give you a minute and a half. Keep breathing. take a couple more deep breaths and come back to this beautiful, beautiful environment and prepared to hear something that might actually help you enliven your own lives. Thank you.
Today's presentation, Creation and the Afterlife, Perspectives of 6 Cultures, presented by Daniel Acuff, PhD. From the dawn of consciousness, humans have looked to the stars and asked themselves 3 fundamental questions. Where did we come from? What is the best way we should live? And what happens when we die? Dr. Acuff will briefly explore the answers to each of these questions based on the mythology or stories of Native Americans, Australian Aborigines, Judeo-Christians, Muslims, Hindus, and Buddhists. Then there is a revolutionary view of creation and the afterlife that millions of people around the globe are now considering as an alternate view. Dr. Acuff's PhD is in philosophy, sociology, and education. He has been a seminar leader and a radio talk show host, and is author of 15 books, including 3 philosophical spiritual works of fiction: God Lied, What's Really Going On Here?, The Mysteries of Quan, and Golf and the Zen Master. Please join me in welcoming Daniel Acuff.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Open Circle. So if you're, I'm going to be, 4 different times I'm going to be asking you to share with a partner what you've just heard in a previous section. So if you're sitting by yourself, move over and cuddle up to 1 or 2 people. Move over. You need to have a partner for these discussions. Preferably you'll have 2 people in your sharing partnership, but 3 is okay. So find a partner now if you don't have one. So there'll be 4 parts to our discussion today. Part 1 will look at the creation stories of 6 different cultures, the indigenous peoples of the planet, Judeo-Christian and Islamic stories, Hindu beliefs, and the Buddhist view of creation. Then we'll consider a quite different view of how we got here. We'll also get some glimpses of life seen through the eyes of children. In part 2, we'll discuss what these groups believe to be living a good and purposeful life. Part 3, we'll look at their views on the afterlife. Part 4 is a special surprise. Don't leave early. Part 1, stories of creation. First, sample stories from indigenous cultures. Estimates put the total population of indigenous people in the world as much as 350 million. The population of the U.S. in 2017 was 325 million. Many of you are aware of some of the creation stories of the natives of the earth. There are many, and they are mostly all different. A common thread is that many incorporate a great flood into their beliefs. Just to take a look at one American Indian story, and of course, if you're a Pima today, living today, you have this as ancient history probably and don't believe this. You've probably been converted to some other religion or whatever, but still this is the tradition of the Pima. In the beginning there was nothing, only a man named Joaquin Mackay. Took me a few hours to figure that out. The doctor of the earth. He rubbed on his breast, which created Mohatak, which is earth. He created a bush. I lost my bush. Oh, and then he generated ants to live on the bush. Oh, now wherever you went with that, you got ants there. The white ants enlarged the earth. He created a person from out of the shadow of his eye. He called him Nui, meaning the buzzard. Joaquin Mackay made water, which he formed into a frozen sphere, which is now the moon. He made the sun and then created the mountains and food to eat from plants. He used the water he created to make the stars by putting the water in his mouth and spitting it into the sky. He again rubbed on his breast to create 2 dolls, which were the first 2 humans, man and woman. They repopulated until the earth was completely full. But with there being so many people, there was not enough food supply, so they began to eat each other. Not good. Joatamakai did not like this, so he allowed the sky to fall while him and Nui escaped. This happened 2 more times, and Joatamakai killed them and recreated Earth. The new people on the new Earth did not have drinking water, so Nui flew around to cut out valleys with his wings in order to collect water. So that's pretty far out. Australian Aborigine creation myth. There was a time when everything was still. All the spirits of the earth were asleep. This was known as the dream time. If you know anything about many of the Aborigines, dreams are a central part of their life. When they wake up in the morning, they get around the fire and spend a few hours talking and sharing dreams. The great father of all spirits was the only one awake. Gently he awoke the Sun Mother. As she opened her eyes, a warm ray of light spread out towards the sleeping earth. The father of all spirits said to the Sun Mother, "Mother, I have work for you. Go down to the earth and awake the sleeping spirits and give them forms." The Sun Mother glided down to earth. Everywhere she walked, plants grew. The father of all spirits came and saw her work, but instructed her to go and wake all the other spirits of the earth. She did as he asked, and roaming the earth, she awoke the insects, birds, fish, and all the animal spirits of the earth. Then she rose into the sky and became the sun. At first the creatures lived together peacefully, but eventually envy crept into their hearts. They began to argue. The Sun Mother was forced to come down from her home in the sky to mediate their bickering. The Sun Mother looked down upon the earth and thought to herself that she must create new creatures, lest the father of all spirits be angered by what she now saw. She gave birth to 2 children. The god was the morning star, and the goddess was the moon. 2 children were born to them, and these she sent to earth. They became our ancestors. She made them superior to animals because they had part of her mind. The Judeo-Christian story. First, a caveat. The views and beliefs I'm discussing today are perhaps considered to be the most common or popular of the different cultural groups. But I realize there is a wide variety of deviations and differences among an individual beliefs. So if you're a Buddhist or a Jewish person or a Christian and what I'm sharing doesn't jive with what you think the history was, too bad. Okay. From the Old Testament, both Christian and Jewish beliefs are essentially the same. You're all very familiar with this story of creation. And I'm not going to read it word for word, but you know, in the beginning God created heaven and earth, and then let there be light, and 5 days he created the earth and all its plants, animals, sun, moon, and stars. And on the morning of the 6th day he created man and woman named Adam, and from the rib of Adam created Eve. And paradise was given to the 2 of them, the earth, where Adam and Eve and all God's creatures lived in perfect harmony. This was the Garden of Eden. And then he planted that dumb tree, and Eve, the beginning of female seduction of men began. Well, it did. One difference in the, let's see, okay, here we are, yeah. The Islamic view. It may be surprising to some of you that the Islamic story of creation is almost identical to the Judeo-Christian story. The world and everything was created by God, one source, Allah, in 6 days, including the creation of Adam and Hawa, which is Eve. The same names. One difference was that it was not a snake that tempted Eve, it was Satan, his own bad self. Hindu beliefs. So, surprisingly, the Islamic view, maybe not surprising to those of you that are Muslim or Islam. Hindu beliefs. There are many different stories and beliefs about creation contained in the Hindu scriptures. Of course, most of you know there are a lot of different gods in Hindu stories. The sacred sound Aum is believed to be the first sound at the start of creation. Hindus believe that Brahman, the one ultimate reality, has 3 functions, and these are shown by the 3 gods, Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu. These 3 are sometimes shown as 3 heads merging into one and are known as the Trimurti. Brahma is the creator and source of all creation. Vishnu is the preserver and responsible for keeping all good things on earth. Shiva is a destroyer and is needed because some things are harmful and because change is necessary for the creation of new things. In the Chandogya Upanishad, a Hindu sacred text, creation is described as the breaking of an egg. The Buddhist view. The Buddha did not waste his time on this issue of where we came from. The reason for his silence was that this issue has no religious value for gaining spiritual wisdom. The explanation of the origin of the universe is not the concern of religion. Such theorizing is not necessary for living a righteous way of life and for shaping our future life. The purpose of a religion is to cultivate the life here on this world and hereafter until liberation is gained. In the eyes of the Buddha, the world is nothing but samsara, the cycle of repeated birth and death. To him, the beginning of the world and the end of the world is within the samsara. Since elements and energies are relative and interdependent, it is meaningless to single out anything as the beginning. Whatever speculation we make regarding the origin of the world, there's no absolute truth in our notion. A view from outside the box about where we came from. Look around at your fellow Ajijicians and Chapalawenses. I made those up. I don't know. Look around. Look at them. They seem pretty normal, don't they? Well, I hate to tell you, but you know, but you don't like to mention it to anybody. But you know, in every crowd there are silent and not so silent rebels, even outcasts. They live and believe outside the mainstream and on the fringe. Most of them are sitting over there, I think. You know who you are. Many of you free thinkers have a quite different idea about where Homo sapiens came from. Some of you are even open to the idea that perhaps the earth was populated by beings from beyond the earth. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands. You'll lose friends today. If true, this just might explain the missing link. Might it not? In our evolution, they reason. Did we come from some other place in our solar system, galaxy, or the universe? Of course, the same fundamental question remains. Regardless of where anybody came from or whatever came from, in our solar system, galaxy, or universe, there is to be somewhere where everything was created in the first place, according to reason. Maybe not. That's a curveball. Okay, now you're going to turn to your partner, and if you don't have one, get over there, buy one, and designate who's A and who's B, and if there's more than one or two people, figure it out. B is going to begin first. You're only going to have 45 seconds to answer. They'll be succinct. Here's the question. Which, if any, of these stories of creation of everything do you most identify with? Indigenous, Judeo-Christian, Islamic, Hindu, Buddhist, some other story, or none of the above? Go. B's first. Okay, stop. A's go. The next person goes. Go.
All over the place.
Okay, stop and thank your partner. Thank you, partner. Applaud, please. Thank you, partner.
Because they got the pizza every morning. That's what I gave them. Yeah.
I found that applauding stopped people from talking. I'm afraid, through a child's eye, I'm afraid the discussion about the creation of the universe is a bit beyond the capabilities of most young children. And by the time children reach the teen years, studies indicate that most all kids have adopted the creation beliefs of their parents. Indoctrination. There is, however, a good deal of humor in what kids have to say about their interactions about and with God. Jeremy, 7 years old. When I was a kid, I used to pray every night for a new bicycle. Then I realized the Lord doesn't work that way. So I stole one and asked him to forgive me. From Nancy, age 9. Dear God, I bet it's very hard for you to love all the whole world. There's only 4 people in our family and I can never do it. 6-year-old Joyce. Dear God, thank you for the baby brother, but what I asked for was a puppy. You can look it up. Allison, age 6. Dear God, I read the Bible. What does beget mean? Nobody will tell me. Larry, age 7. Dear God, maybe Cain and Abel wouldn't kill each other if they each had their own rooms. Peter, age 8. Dear God, please send Dennis Clark to a different summer camp this year. 6-year-old Charlene wondered, Dear God, how did you know you were God? Who told you? 7-year-old Billy complained, Dear God, how come you did all those miracles in the old days and you don't do any anymore? Little Norma, age 5, said, Dear God, did you mean for giraffes to look like that or was it an accident? Amanda, Dear God, please put another holiday between Christmas and Easter. There's nothing good in there now. Anita, Dear God, is it true my father won't get in heaven if he uses his golf words in the house? And finally, Mikey, age 5. Dear God, I'm doing the best I can, really. Is it true you'll send me to hell forever when I grow up? That's not funny? Oh, okay. I thought it was very funny. Part 2. Different cultures and how to live a good life. Indigenous beliefs. American Indians. These are some of the common values of most American Indians. Personal differences. Native Americans traditionally have respected the unique individual differences among people. Common Native American expressions of this value include staying out of others' affairs and verbalizing personal thoughts or opinions only when asked. Pretty good advice, I'd say. Quietness. Quietness or silence is a value that serves many purposes in Indian life. Historically, the cultivation of this value contributed to survival. In social situations, when they're angry or uncomfortable, many Indians remain silent. Patience. In Native American life, the virtue of patience is based on the belief that all things unfold in time. Mutualism. As a value, attitude, and behavior, mutualism permeates everything in the traditional Indian social fabric. Mutualism promotes a sense of belonging and solidarity with group members, cooperating to gain group security and consensus. In at least one of the Indian languages, the word I does not exist. They only use the word we. Spirituality. Religious thought and actions are integrated into every aspect of the socio-cultural fabric of traditional Native American life. Spirituality is considered a natural component of everything. That's American Indians. The Aboriginal. Animals in many indigenous cultures are imbued with great spiritual significance. In the 7 sacred teachings, the traditional concepts of respect and sharing that form the foundation of the Aboriginal way of life. They're built around 7 natural laws or sacred teachings, and each teaching shares one of the basic virtues. The eagle is love. The buffalo, respect. The bear, courage. Bigfoot. The Aborigines had a concept of Bigfoot. I had no idea. Honesty. The Bigfoot is honest. Beaver, wisdom. Wolf, humility. And turtle, truth. So, we find the same values in the Aborigines. Similar. Judeo-Christian. Again, there's little need to spend much time on the mandates of the Christian and Jewish faiths for living a good and productive life. They're basically covered in the 10 Commandments. There are, however, strong themes of getting ahead, competition, and self-reliance. Yes, there's love thy neighbor as thyself, but other cultures, such as the Jewish culture and Islamic culture, have even more emphasis on family and helping others than the Christian tradition. Did you know that including the original 10 Commandments, God actually gave the Jews 613 commandments? Or rules to live by. It's a little tougher to walk the righteous line when wearing Jewish sandals. There's even directions for how to put on and tie your shoes. According to the code of Jewish law, when putting on shoes, the right shoe goes first. When tying shoes, the left shoe is tied first. When shoes are taken off, the left shoe comes off first. This custom is based on the belief that the right is more important than the left. Therefore, the right foot should not remain uncovered until the left is covered. I have no idea. Islamic. The underlying principle in Islam for all social behavior is the love for fellow human beings and service to humanity. In God's revelations to the Prophet Muhammad, as much emphasis was laid on service to humanity as on the worship of God, perhaps more on the former. In the eyes of God, prayer is completely meaningless if it is not accompanied by service to humanity. Muslims are enjoined to look after the needs of the wayfarer and their neighbor. In Islam, an individual is part of a social whole and is urged to share his or her good fortune with other fellow beings. Great stress has been laid in Islam on honoring agreements and trusts. Muslims are enjoined to fulfill all covenants, whether they are with God or with fellow man. Islam teaches great respect for the law, both religious and social. There's great emphasis on truth as the basis of high moral character. The Quran also mentions truthfulness as the most prominent quality of a Muslim. Kindness to parents and children. In the moral code of Islam, kindness to parents occupies a very high position. And also parents and elders are urged to show mercy to the young. The Holy Prophet is reported to have said, "He is not one of us who does not show mercy to our young ones and respect to our elders." Also, man must treat all animals with great kindness and compassion. Jihad. Now that word brings up all kinds of things for different people, but the Islamic institution of jihad is the least understood aspect of Islam. In the world today, there is great misunderstanding among non-Muslims that Islamic jihad is a holy war directed towards the unbelievers for the sole purpose of converting them into Islam. Nothing, in fact, could be farther from the truth. Literally, the Arabic word jihad means utmost effort or striving. Muslims are commanded in the Holy Quran to strive in the way of God. This struggle could be in the form of propagation, promotion of defense of Islam, and may or may not include armed conflict with the unbelievers. In Islamic terminology, the effort to preach Islam to non-Muslims and the struggle to overcome one's baser inclinations and desires are all called jihad. If the struggle does not indeed take the form of an armed conflict, it must be in self-defense only, in accordance with all the rules and regulations laid down in the Quran. The purpose of fighting was limited to establishing freedom of worship and removing oppression and inequity. Muslims were strongly enjoined to spare the lives of women and children, to treat the prisoners of war with kindness, to restrain at all times for any excesses, and to restore peace as soon as possible. This is the true concept of jihad in Islam. The Hindu culture. According to Hinduism, every human being who is an aspect of God has to live, practice, and protect his dharma, or moral and religious laws. If he does not participate in God's work to keep the order and regularity of the world and does not protect his law, he is not entitled to moksha, or salvation. Moksha is the highest reward for stepping into the shoes of God and exemplifying him upon earth. The scriptures also suggest that every human being must live selflessly. He'll be responsible for his actions if he lives selfishly, but becomes free if he lives selfishly and without egoism. The Buddhist view. Ethical behavior is said to be at the basis of any spiritual path. A life filled with killing, stealing, and lying is certainly not very conducive to inner peace and the generation of compassion. The Buddha explained the eightfold noble path: correct thought, speech, actions, livelihood, understanding, effort, mindfulness, and concentration as a guideline to proper conduct. And these are the 8 precepts. The main 5 are of Buddhism: not to take the life of any living thing, not to take anything not freely given, to abstain from sexual misconduct and sensual overindulgence, to refrain from untrue speech, and to avoid intoxication, that is, losing mindfulness. Okay, that's question number 2. A's go first. Share with your partner what you believe. It's a little tangential question. What is your purpose here on earth? A's go first. Okay, stop. B goes first, goes next. B, what's your purpose on earth? Okay, stop. Thank your partner. Okay, that was how to live the best and most the best kind of life. Children's views on how to live. Mikey, age 3. I just can't pick up my toys because my arms are taking a nap. A mom said to her 3-year-old daughter, "Don't eat your boogers." "But Mom, I have to save the tigers in my nose." That's a little, they like it over there. 6-year-old daughter, "Mommy, you forgot to give me blueberries." "Mom, no I didn't, you just ate them all." "Oh, I wish you had short-term memory loss." When my daughter was 5, I asked her to help set the table. She looked at me and said, she just couldn't. I asked her why, and she said, I just didn't understand the kind of pressure she was under. I had to leave the room and laugh. 4-year-old, "Mom, can we get a kitten?" "I'm sorry, honey, I'm allergic. We can't be in the same house. You could sleep outside." 6-year-old, "Dad, why do bad guys always want to take over?" Dad says, "They want to be in charge and make all the rules." 6-year-old, "Why don't they become moms?" 7-year-old girl, "Do women get their periods on weekends too?" Mom replies, "Yes." 7-year-old mutters to herself, "Jesus Christ." It took a minute. 5-year-old daughter to mom, "I'm going to marry Noah." Mom asks, "Why?" "He's handsome and I like his shirt." Mom, "Looks aren't everything." 5-year-old, "He likes to clean too." "Lock that in," says Mom. A 5-year-old daughter in response to a planned visit from her grandparents. "They're really old. Are they dead?" 4-year-old, "Mom, what did I earn for being good today?" "My love and affection." "I don't want that." Teddy, 6 years old, "Mom, are you having a baby?" No, never." "Did the doctor put something in your butt to make babies not come out again?" 5-year-old, "Don't do that on my head." 4-year-old, "I'll fart wherever I want." Mom turns to her friend, "I'm raising ladies." 7-year-old daughter, "Mom, you need to shave your legs. It looks like a cornfield." And finally, my favorite, 4-year-old Petey tells his dad proudly, "My wiener wants to come out and see people." Okay, part 3. Views of the afterlife. Indigenous, American Indians. Native American stories about the afterlife vary greatly from tribe to tribe. In the traditions of many Native American tribes, the souls of the dead pass into a spirit world where they can occasionally still communicate with the living through dreams or the intercession of medicine people. In other tribes, there is a more structured land of the dead, often presided over by a god of death or other supernatural caretaker. In some tribes, there's no Native American afterlife per se. Dead people are believed to become stars or part of the earth, unless they are disturbed and turned into ghosts by grave robbing or other unnatural acts. And in some tribes, there's no afterworld at all because the spirits of the dead are reincarnated as new infants within their family or clan. The Australian Aborigines. While no one story of Aborigines' afterlife is identical, there's a pervasive belief in life after death, which is better described as the persistence of life, very similar to what they experience here on Earth, though at a different level, a different form. They see the afterlife as a different facet of human existence. They perceive death as a transition to another life that is not completely different from the one they've left when they died. Judeo-Christian. Judaism is, of course, the parent of both Christianity and Islam, and both religions have drawn deeply upon Jewish traditions and belief. Christian beliefs about the afterlife vary between denominations and individual Christians, but the vast majority of Christians believe in some kind of heaven, in which the deceased enjoy the presence of God and loved ones for eternity. Views differ as to what is required to get into heaven, and conceptions of heaven differ as well. A smaller number of Christians believe in hell, a place of suffering where unbelievers or sinners are punished. Views differ as to whether hell is eternal and whether its punishment is spiritual or physical. Some Christians reject the notion of hell altogether. Some Catholic Christians also believe in purgatory, a temporary place of punishment for Christians who have died with unconfessed sins or haven't been baptized or babies, or there's all kinds of variations on the theme. The Jewish culture. Heaven. The use of the term Gan Eden to describe heaven suggests that the rabbis conceived of the afterlife as a return to the blissful existence of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden before the fall. It is generally believed that in Gan Eden the human soul exists in a disembodied state until the time of bodily resurrection in the days of Messiah. Because if you're Jewish, you're still waiting for the coming of the Messiah. Gehinnom, a Jewish hell. Only truly righteous souls ascend directly to the Garden of Eden, say the sages. The average person descends to a place called Gehinnom for a 12-month period. Some view Gehinnom as a place of torture and punishment, fire and brimstone. Others imagine it less harshly as a place where one views the actions of his life and repents for past misdeeds. Only the utterly wicked do not ascend to the Garden of Eden at the end of the year. Islamic view. We'll now consider the attitude towards death and afterlife within the third of the three great religions of Abraham, Islam. Central to Islamic faith is the belief that Allah has ordained all that will happen, including the lives and deaths of each human being. Fatalism. Muslims believe that this earthly life is a preparation for the life after death. The departed will lie in their graves until the day of judgment, when Allah will raise all the souls of the dead to face judgment according to their deeds in life. The righteous are destined to heaven, a place filled with God's love and represented in terms of physical delights. The damned are destined for hell, a place of boiling fire and torment. So they have a very strong view of hell. Hinduism teaches that any attempt to find permanent happiness in this world is maya, an illusion. Hindus believe that a person's Atman's spirit is permanent and cannot change, while the physical body is not permanent and can change. Reincarnation is central to their beliefs. The Buddhist view. They don't believe in a soul. Some Buddhists believe that if one achieves nirvana, nothing of that person survives their bodily death. However, if the person is to be reincarnated, there are a couple of different views as to what survives. One of the traditions holds that only karma, or the worth of one's deeds, survives death and is transmitted to another physical body. Other traditions hold that sensations, emotions, perceptions, and consciousness survive death and are transferred to another physical body in the event of reincarnation. Third question, with your partner. Bees go first. What do you believe will happen to you after you die? Bees go first. Okay, stop. A's. What do you believe will happen to you when you die? Okay, stop and thank you, partner. By the way, I want to make a comment that I forgot to make as we're looking at how to live the proper life. It's really quite, I guess, comforting to notice that no matter whether it's indigenous people, Buddhists, Judeo-Christian cultures, American Indians, the Aborigines, everybody agrees. They really fundamentally agree that telling the truth, being honest, helping others, love your neighbor. Nobody says love yourself in here, but I guess we take that for granted. No, you can't. All those values are represented by every culture, and in some they're emphasized more than others. So it's very interesting that they don't really disagree about how to live a good life. They have a lot of disagreement about where we came from and where we might be going after we die, but they're very, very much in agreement. Okay, a little bit of a surprise. The Nazca mummies. How many of you know about, raise your hands, the Nazca lines in Peru? Okay, it's about a third of you anyway. Well, if you can only be seen by airplane or helicopter because the lines are so long, some of them miles long, and you can only make out the figures and the designs from up above. Suggestion is, why did they put them there? So something or somebody can see them from above. Well, most of us know about the Nazca lines. Some of us have been there. But that's not so amazing because there's no proof about perhaps who it is that could be seeing them from above. But for eons, humans have wondered, are we alone? With billions of habitable planets out there, it seems only logical that we are not alone. But we don't need to look beyond Earth to discover that we've not always been alone. The supposition about the Nazca lines in Peru is that they continue to mystify, and nobody's not quite sure about why they're there. However, the quite recent discovery is not mysterious, but proven to be scientifically a fact. A team of scientists has discovered an extremely long tunnel underneath the lines. And in that tunnel, they've found 3 mummies. An adult-sized mummy, a medium, and a baby. They have carbon dated the mummies and found the adult to have lived around 300 AD. And the baby around 1400 AD, only 600 years ago. 600 plus. But what's most surprising, even shocking, is that while they have 2 arms and 2 legs, and have a human-type body except for an elongated, a little bit alien-looking head, they also have 3 fingers on their hands and 3 toes. Undisputably, their DNA reveals that while they share a good deal of human DNA with us, they are clearly not of the species Homo sapiens. A whole other story of another species. This, of course, raises many questions, chief among them, where did they come from? And does this mean we have not been alone all this time? I have a picture that I'm going to put up here if you want to check out the picture of the adult mummy later on. So, it's well documented. Scientific teams did the DNA research, the carbon dating. It's hard to refute. I won't be taking questions today, so that leaves time for you to discuss one more question with your partner. And I'm going to leave you to discuss what ideas you found in this presentation to be most interesting or even surprising. Thank you very much. So, please share with your partners now what ideas kind of were surprising or most interesting or helpful.